Take it easy. All right. Speaking of Christmas and speaking of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you probably all ordered a bunch of gifts. I actually have a TV arriving tomorrow. Shouldn't tell the cargo thieves, should I? That's not a smart move. But we will be looking at some of the trends that are happening in that space right now with our good buddy, Scott Cornell, National Practice Lead for Transportation Crime and Theft Specialist over at Travelers. How you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. As you can see, we're all dressed up for Christmas. It's the last week before the show shuts down to the new year. So I'm just putting it out all on the table.
I see the tree there. It looks great. You're all ready for the season. I noticed you have a truck in front. It's Christmas season, so I'm gonna send you one of these. We're gonna get that over to you.
That is awesome. Hopefully no cargo thieves steal that one from us.
No, and on the back it says Sting Trailer, so that's a model of our Sting Trailer. So you'll enjoy.
No
that,
way!
So.
Is there like a little secret deploy group that can run out of the back?
There might be a hidden camera in it that I can use to keep an eye on you, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, hey, what were some of the highlights? What were some of the highlights from the year in this space before we look towards 2023 and what you got to watch out for now?
Well, it's been a year for sure, right? So, there's a lot we can say about the past 12 months. If I had to boil it down to the four, top hottest topics that we talked about throughout the year, all the times we got together, there was when you talked to Craig about the sensitivity around reefer shipments and temperature control, truck fires were a big deal. We'll talk about that a little bit again. Carrier claims considerations are important, and I think we had a good forward vision on that. And then, of course, you mentioned it before you brought me on, is the cargo theft, especially around the holidays. So.
Oh, yeah. Just over the weekend, it's funny you mentioned the truck fires in Oakland. I think there was 8 or 9 trucks that I had a buddy who lives right by the port over there, and he said he could see the smoke going over the city. Why do you think those particular ones were so hot this year, those 4 trends?
Well, so this answer will be the longest part of the interview today, so bear with me. But I think, if we go through them in the order that we just mentioned them, when you spoke with Craig Leinauer, our cargo claim manager, he talked about refrigerated freight and the reefer shipments in January, and he spent time breaking down the misconceptions and like how cargo needs to be pre-chilled before the transport, since the compartment really isn't designed to cool it down, rather it maintains it. Things like that. And I thought the example that he used about the climate management was interesting, because who knew that, if the trailer's too warm, the bananas actually ripen and start to generate their own heat, right? I would have never known that. So, and then on the other hand, if they're too cool, the bananas get spotty and the peels and the damage to the bananas. And then Craig talked about and explained how important it is to have the proper equipment in place, right? You got to have the trailer doors, need to be secured, sealed, and keep the cool air inside so it doesn't escape. The trailer itself needs to be clean and in good condition. And then ensure the floor drains are clear so the condensation can't drain from the unit properly. And then a working temperature recording device to make sure it matches the reefer data. All these things are critical, when you put them all together to ensure that you have a viable shipment. And I think Craig did a great job outlining how the trucking companies can better protect their refrigerated freight. On the flip side, as you just mentioned, sometimes things can get really hot, and I'm talking about the truck fires, so pun intended, but really truck fires are no joke. And the industry definitely saw a good number of truck fires this year. Adam, you spoke with Adam Holloway, one of our fire investigators, who joined you guys on the podcast, I think back in April. And he's one of our specialists on this topic. And he explained how some of the most common causes of the truck fires, including tires, brakes, wire chafing, and there's a variety of factors contributing to the recent rise in fire-related incidents. We know that the incredible demands we saw in the transportation industry, and in particular trucking companies, pushed the equipment hard. They had to push the equipment hard, stay on the road. Trucks and trailers needed to be on the road. And one thing to remember is that truck fires, they're usually not a combination of just one thing. It's a combination of multiple factors and not typically caused by a single issue. So, all those things together that we mentioned previously can result in the fire. So having proper maintenance controls in place, making the time to execute on those controls is critical to prevent large losses caused by truck fires. Creating a culture of safety with an emphasis on preventive measures can save companies a bunch of headaches, possibly thousands of dollars, while keeping the drivers safe as well. And ultimately, we want the audience to know that risk is everywhere. And, but the combination of education / training, the right carrier partner are the first steps to taking it on. And when you talk about trucks being on fire in lots, one of the things we talk to them about is spacing. A lot of times we see trucks parked too close together, so the fire jumps.
Interesting. So, hey, we're at holidays right now. Like I mentioned, I have a TV in a truck and I want it to show up tomorrow. I'm excited for it. But what are the trends? What's going on in holiday theft right now? I know it always ticks up.
Yeah, that topic is timely because, at the time in Q3 and Q4 predictions for the trucking industry weren't great, right? So if we talk about the claim aspect of it first and claim service and then get into the theft part, right? So we wanted to make sure carriers and freight brokers were getting the best bang for their buck on insurance, and not only to be covered in the event of a loss, but also to recognize the importance of having, that claim support if you do have a theft or any other kind of loss, but the theft recovery and prevention that we talk about often, proper training and experience and risk control. So a good provider is going to provide you, expertise, and you're going to get more value for your spend on insurance for that.
Cool. So what about the theft?
So if the theft, if you're like me, you're just starting your shopping season. So a lot of people say, we're in the middle of it, but if you're like me, you're just starting your shopping season, right? So in short, we've been seeing a lot of theft. The fourth quarter theft is really jumping right now, especially in that Southern California area, but really all across the country. And it's really we think it's going to turn out to be a really high theft year. And, when we spoke, we said, don't let your guard down for the fourth quarter just because it's been a high theft year all along. And as usual, we're seeing a lot of targeting of electronics. So when you talk about your TV, I'm sure it'll get to you, but electronics has been highly targeted. But we also see other commodities that are relevant for the holidays: liquor, turkeys, hams, the latest fashion, the latest toys and clothes, all getting stolen. I just came back from a TAPA conference on supply chain security, and there was a lot of talk about cargo security. And I had several conversations around carriers using security escorts to meet the shipments at the ports and escort them to the distribution center. So we're seeing some of that. And, we see this in particular with new release items like phones, game consoles, things like that. And the thieves, will usually not even bother the loads that are escorted. And again, remember, we've talked in the past, the golden rule applies. Thieves will steal what they know they can sell. So during this time of year, resources are going to be stretched thin, and it will be much tougher to recover anything. So you have to have your own plan and your own resources, or you're going to struggle if you have a theft. The key word during the holidays is always prevention, but you have to have a plan and resources if you do suffer a theft. Our cargo recovery team that we've talked about, they're on call 24/7, 365 to help clients. And we've already made a bunch of recoveries in the fourth quarter, and we always have recoveries in the fourth quarter. So the bottom line is you want to make yourself more difficult to steal from than the other trucks.
Yeah, no, Scott, it's so bad out here. A buddy of mine told me he went and bought a Christmas tree at a tree lot, and then he went to get some coffee and came back and his Christmas tree was gone. We have about 30. No,
that's the Grinch right there, right? That has to be the Grinch right there, right?
We got 30 seconds left before I got to cut the show. What is one danger that lays ahead that we got to look out for in 23?
I certainly can't predict everything in the future, right? But I think one thing we'll definitely see carry into 2023 is the industry is going to continue to try and deal with double brokering issues. It's been a hot topic all year. There was some clarification put out around that topic that I think we're going to need to talk about in 2023. And then again, the theft, we don't see it slowing down for 2023 at all.
No. Hey, Scott, thank you so much. Thanks for your partnership with Travelers for this year. Merry Christmas to you and the team. I'll keep my eyes out for that truck. Thank you all for joining.